Representative Jared Huffman, who's a Democrat from California, is coming out. Not as gay, but as actually something far rarer, as a non-religious congressman. During an interview with the Washington Post, Huffman has admitted that, you know what, looks like I'm a skeptic. I'm actually also a non-believer, and I think there's far too much religion in politics. Quote, I don't believe in religious tests, and I don't believe my religion is all that important to the people I represent. Now, look, in California, that's absolutely correct. But more so, to the point, the point of a politician is to craft good policy that helps their people, right? If you want spiritual guidance, don't go to your politician, go to the church. That's what pastors are for, not politicians. So he's absolutely right when he says there's too much religion in politics. Well, look at Louis Gohmert, right? Look at a lot of these very conservative Republicans that are bringing up Bible verses all the time. It's ridiculous. Roy Moore, for example, is a good example of preaching, but also not practicing what he preaches. So it's interesting for him to come out. Now, he also says that he thinks religion has been used negatively, especially recently. Quote, I've seen religion wielded in such negative ways around here. President Trump does it all the time, so implausibly. Interesting. And he's absolutely right, of course. Look, man, the religious right has used religion as a bat to keep certain people down. LGBT folks, transgender individuals, even poor people. Okay, I thought the whole point was blessed be the poor. But apparently these politicians, they don't get it. And they actually use the Bible to keep the poor down. Not supposed to be, that's the whole point of Christianity, again, is that the fact that Jesus was a poor person who was a homeless person who went around helping people for free. How can you be a Christian and be against poor people? I don't quite understand. But they go through those, mental hoops to be able to somehow accomplish that. I don't get it. But he's absolutely right. Religion and politics should never, ever mix. They should not be in the same sphere. Again, there should be a wall between church and state. And so politicians, I don't need a politician preaching from, the pulpit, okay? I don't need that. And nobody does, and Huffman agrees. Now, Huffman also says that he doesn't believe religion is necessarily relevant to the work that he does. Again, absolutely right. And he no longer, and he says it no longer feels right to just take a pass in the question. So Huffman had been refusing to mark his religion in official forms. He's like, no, I'm not interested. I can't say that I'm this religion. I don't think it should matter, but I'm just going to leave it blank and let everybody just ignore it. Now he's like, no, I'm a non-believer. I'm a skeptic. Now he also says, your religion can speak views to your moral and ethical framework on the world, and that is something I think the public is now entitled to know. He said he is, quote, a non-believer and a skeptic. Although he adds, I suppose you could say I don't believe in God. The only reason I hesitate is, unlike some humanists, I'm not completely closing the door to spiritual possibilities. We all know people who have had experience they believe are divine, and I'm open to something like that happening. So that's interesting because it's one of those people who apparently seems to have an open mind. And that's good. I would like if more people had open minds. So I don't necessarily believe in that. But that's me. And again, I think that it's good when you have politicians that are actually open to new ideas and new experiences and things like that, while still remaining skeptical. So here you have another skeptical politician, and he is actually one of two non-believers in Congress. In the entirety of Congress, there are two people that are non-aligned with a religion. That's crazy. But when I'm assuming that there's actually more, but there's a reason that I don't think many of these people come out. Polls show that people who don't ascribe to a religion in America are actually very much distrusted. And of course, I could see how that creates problems when you're trying to get people to vote for you. Atheists, for example, are one of the least trusted groups in the country. So I also think that's why a lot of people don't use the label. And also online, there's been a bit of distancing from the atheist label, as there have been a lot of attacks against feminists and stuff coming from that community. So I get why people want to distance themselves from that label, whereas I guess more people tend to use non-believer or agnostic and stuff like that. So, but again, he seems to be very open-minded. Okay. Now, why this is important to me is because, look, right now, our government is dominated by people who are Christians. And although being a non-believer is growing, 1 in 5, and for example, 1 in 5 U.S. adults are not affiliated, yet we still only have 2 people in Congress that are openly non-believers. So where's the representation? We've got a really fast-growing group in America with respect to religion, and yet they have very little representation in Congress. So that's actually why Jared Huffman coming out as a non-believer, as a skeptic, is not only brave, but I think is necessary in order to help us be able to get some more of that representation. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.